Greetings once again, YouTube. You know who joined the Super Saiyan Club. As usual, I'll give her a turnaround. I'll be doing this update video differently. This time around, you'll see still photos of my custom Chandra Nalaar figure. But don't worry, I'll still talk to you guys about how I did the work. Customizing Chandra Nalaar's figure took 3 days. Procrastination, I know. Still, I wanted to take as much time for paint to dry during this project. My previous paint job with Optimus Prime's sword wasn't so successful, because I didn't wait long enough for a layer of paint to dry before I added another. Now, I did some preliminary work on the first day. First, I painted her sclerae white with a microbrush. I chose to wait until the next day to finish painting her eyes with turquoise or teal paint. Second, I took Chandra's figure apart to remove her entire hip armor by hand. I did that by using my thumbs and fingers to push her hip armor up towards the ceiling to separate the hip armor from the glue that held that in place. With her hip armor removed successfully, I used a pair of snips and a nail clipper to cut off her red skirt. The snips were used for large cuts, while the nail clipper did a good job of being as close to the side plates as possible. I called that a day after that was done. Before I go on, Chandra's bottoms and her sleeves were already painted brown right out of the box, letting her pull off the sleeved leotard look easily. The second day was when most of the painting happened. I started with Chandra's hair. I mixed yellow acrylic paint with white to get a lighter shade of yellow and then painted her hair with a small brush. Of course, I still needed a microbrush and some toothpicks to get into tight areas. Yes, I dipped toothpicks into paint for painting tight areas. Sounds odd, I know. I also used one of those toothpicks to dip a layer of yellow paint onto each of her eyebrows. I got that done, but the fact that her eyebrows don't look very smooth makes me think that I used a little too much paint there. Another toothpick was used to dip very small dots of turquoise or teal paint onto the center of each eye. So far so good. I ended the second day by removing her hip armor from the figure to paint the bottom of that armor dark gray. Had to cover up the unpainted plastic that was seen after I cut off her red skirt. Once again, a microbrush did the trick. You see that red mark beneath her left eye? I colored that in with both a red pen and a black pen. At the time, I thought that some battle damage made Chandra look tough. I finished the second day by gluing her left shoulder pad back into her arm. Still won't move her arm as much though. The third day of work happened because I wasn't satisfied with how I painted Chandra's eyes in the first place. I realized that I used too much white paint on the eyes and they ended up looking like they were bulging out. As such, I used another toothpick to scrape that off so that I could start over. I painted her eyes with both white and turquoise paint, only with less of each. For the finishing touch, I used a rolling ball pen to color a black dot in the middle of each eye. Here's hoping that I was very detailed about Chandra's Super Saiyan makeover. Buying Liliana Vess and Garrick Wildspeaker at cheap prices made me curious enough to explore the Magic the Gathering franchise on my own. In addition, I was schooled on the backstories of certain characters in my possession since late August. I never guessed that a mighty lion warrior who suffered tragedies was once an outcast because of his white fur. I wouldn't have thought that a lady wielding fire magic had a backstory that fans of Dragon Ball would be familiar with. I didn't know that a burly and powerful beast mage was turned into a madman thanks to a curse that was inadvertently inflicted on him by a lovely black-haired sorceress who regained her lost youth, and who has joined forces with the lady wielding fire magic. With so many backstories and conflicts, I can only wonder what will happen when these guys cross paths. Fans of MTG have also impressed me with their love and devotion toward the franchise. I saw their love and devotion in the form of card game tournaments, fan merchandise, fan videos, fan art, and cosplays. Before I forget, the cosplayers deserve an extra shout out since they put in extra time and money to make the costumes needed to portray their favorite characters. The fans have impressed me so much that these video reviews that I've been posting were my way of saying thanks, so to speak, despite that they're obviously not enough to show my gratitude. Even though I will not part with my own figures, I think that actual MTG fans deserve these toys more than I do. If you manage to find them, buy them whenever possible. Depending on where you buy them, you won't even spend much money on these figures since they didn't sell very well at full price back in 2014. If anyone's wondering, I'm afraid that I still won't be playing the card game anytime soon. Why? 1. The rules still seem unfamiliar to me. 2. I barely have enough in my wallet to afford a starter deck and some boosters. My card game days are still over. Still, sometimes I wish that times and circumstances would be different so that I'd get into the game myself. To Funko and Gentle Giant Studios, many thanks for these great toys, and here's hoping that we'll eventually see a new line of figures from MTG. To anyone who's either a Magic the Gathering fan or a member of the creative team, thank you for taking me on an adventure that I've enjoyed since late August, and I'll look forward to what the franchise will have in store later on. To all those who stuck around during these videos, thank you all for enjoying the show and for going on this adventure with me. This experience made me a slightly different person than the guy who first found Liliana and Garrick for about $5 each. Joy Gin.